just working for studios and gyms and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I know you're in the midst of a transition right now. Like we talk a lot behind the scenes in Messenger, and you're like, I just feel a lot of things shifting and moving. And one of the things that I'm so excited about that I know I'm going to do is this retreat in December. Like, how did you know this retreat in December was something you wanted to do, even though you've already been to Costa Rica this year?
Well, I wanted to go back, but I wasn't really to take the lead again because, as you know, it's like it's so much work, and I mean, I definitely couldn't do it by myself. I needed to have like an assistant that could not only like help me organize and get everything together, but if I wasn't feeling well one night, like, can you lead in? And just having a partner like that was really important. And so I was like, I want to do this again, but I don't really want to take the lead. So it was great when I think I saw your advertising, your marketing, and I was like, I wonder if she needs an assistant. And so I was excited when you agreed.
Yeah, and what's really cool for Kristen is she was my teacher when I lived in Colorado 8 years ago. And when she was like, oh, maybe I'm going to come back and come to your retreat, I actually sent her out an invitation and was like, hey, I know you've been thinking about my retreats in the past. Do you want to come? And so that's something that you can always implement in your life and business is if someone has mentioned to you in the past that they want to work with you or they want to come on a retreat, like follow up is really important because it reminds
Froze.
as I was saying, I'm not even going to try to figure out what just happened. Her work is so transformative. So when she asked me to come in and lead, I was like, yes, of course, I would love to have you. Like, I love studying with you. And I know that she is really good in her aspects. And something that comes up for me when we collaborate is bringing other people on to co-share the tasks, the work involved, but it's also more about how can I show up and share my gifts and allow someone else to come in and then share their gifts. So not only do people get your take on transformation and deep healing, but they get someone else's take. And so this is one really big aspect of collaborating is like, yes, 50% of the work can go to someone else, but also you're giving more to your students in your community because you're bringing on another expert. And now with that being said, like you don't always need to do a 50-50 swap. You could just have someone come in and teach classes and you pay them a percentage. What you want to be sure of before you go into a collaboration with someone else is that you have the business terms and conditions written out before you start creating, launching, or selling out your retreat. This way, no one is upset down the line if they thought you were going to do more. They had a different idea how the collaboration was going to go. They thought they were going to get paid differently. It's like after you hire someone to come on and lead a retreat with you, or you hire someone signs up and hires you to come on your retreat, there's terms and conditions, so there's no surprises. And this just keeps it really squeaky clean as far as the business contract goes. And so what I foresee, like with Kristen and I, is like she's coming in and adding an aspect to the retreat, but I'm actually doing all of the behind the scenes. So she's not coming in and talking to the retreat host, which I just booked this morning. I called them, I made the payment, and our spot is secure. Rancho Margot in Lake Arena, La Fortuna is where I'll be hosting this retreat, and she's coming in. And so rather than her needing to figure out where we're having it, when to make the payments, the daily schedule, being in contact with the attendees, like I'm doing most of the heavy lifting, and she gets to come in and be a guest, but also a leader in teaching the retreats and the workshops. The retreats at the workshops at the retreat. And in that, we're collaborating, but she doesn't have to think about all those pieces, which is what she said. She's like, so much comes in. And so if you want to lead a retreat, but like all the logistics are just like, I don't know if I want to collaborate with someone else, it'll take some of the heavy lifting off. And then once you learn how it works, you see the things that happen, you can prepare yourself to co-host a retreat, or you can then go on to lead the retreat by yourself. Kristen, are you still here with me?
I am here. I'm sorry. I played with it. I can't get the video back.
That's okay. So share with us a little bit more about, I remember in our last conversation, Kristen and I have had some techie things happening lately. And we're not going to worry about those today, but she was sharing with me in our last conversation that the internet here in Costa Rica went out. That happens. That she's been collaborating with a friend for some time now. And we were talking about like what that looks like. And I remember someone asked her to lead retreats with her here in Costa Rica. And she's done that several times. And what did you find in your experience working with her, like on the business side behind the scenes? Like what terms and conditions did you guys have set up?
Like between the two of us or for the attendees? Well, for the two of us, I don't know. It was very organic because she ran a little hotel here in Fort Collins, and I was just going to kind of give up on the retreat because my old business partner just didn't want to do it anymore. And she's like, well, I know how to do this portion of it. And I'm like, well, and she doesn't know how to do the other portion. She had never been to Costa Rica, or at least to this resort. And so I think the terms were just like, you take care of this, I take care of that. You know, I gave her a small stipend to go towards her plane ticket. And then of course the room was included as well as the food for the leaders. So, you know, it was all just kind of like, and then I said, you know, I can't really figure out what I can pay you until the end, until I've paid all of my bills off, and then just see what's left, you know. And then it was kind of like a 60-40 split.
Yeah, exactly. And I love what you shared there. It's like you went into this business relationship with it being open, and then we would figure out based upon the profit, because when you're leading a retreat, how much the person that leads the retreat gets paid is not how much the retreater pays you, because there's so many bills that come into leading the retreat depending on what's included. And when I'm teaching how to create, launch, and sell out retreats, I have them create a budget, and then also having a spacious gap for the surprise things that always come up when we're hosting the retreat. So that way you're clear on what you need to pay for, but also the retreaters don't get surprises when they're there on like what it is that they need to pay for. So if you're hosting a retreat with someone else, have the terms and conditions set up before, even if that means like, hey, let's look at what our profit is at the end, and then we'll talk about how we split it based on how people show up. Because oftentimes when I'm coaching my clients, they're like, I did all the marketing and advertising and I split it 50-50. And I'm like, well, that doesn't seem fair. Like if you're showing up and you're doing everything, that's the hardest part, is to get people there. So you want to have that conversation so that there's no surprises. And something that Kristen said in our last call that I just will repeat here is like, there was a night that Kristen wasn't feeling well. And instead of her teaching the yin class, someone else came on. And so when we're holding space at a retreat, we don't always feel our best, and we can have someone come in and swap our spots so that we can go and rest. And that's a really big thing that I like to have. Like, even if I don't have Kristen, I usually have a chef or a friend or someone there, like you said, a virtual assistant supporting me in the space holding. Because when we unplug from the external world and drop into the yoga, the uniting of the heart, the healing, the transformation that comes, energy surfaces, and to be able to sit and hold that energy, not just for ourselves, but for the clients and the retreaters that are there. That's a really big task. And so I like to do 1 to 6 or 1 to 8. So if I have 8 people there, I have myself, and anyone over 8, I have another person. And so for Kristen and I, I'm like, okay, my vision for our retreat is 18 people. I can foresee us holding space for 18 people. And before this call, I paid a deposit down to Rancho Margao. And I just, even though we don't have 18 people signed up, I secured 18 spaces just to hold that vision for us. And that's 2 people over my 8-to-1 ratio. However, I did it this way because I'm like, okay, if I could really dream bigger. And when you're hosting a retreat, it's like dream a little bit bigger. And there's a really good book that you can check out that I read 3 times last year. And it's called The Magic of Thinking Big. And I did this because it's like, it takes as much energy to dream small as it does to dream big. So you might as well go for the big numbers. Kristen, as far as like this retreat goes, I know that you're in the midst of getting ready to buy your plane ticket. For anyone else that's wondering like what to do, how to buy my plane ticket, like what questions do you have for me that maybe I could support our clients in making that decision to join us?
Great. Well, I've only flown into Liberia before. I've never flown into San Jose. And I was wondering if Southwest flies. I mean, all this I was going to kind of Google today because obviously I can just look on my own. But, you know, I'm sure many people have miles that they'd like to use to make their like budget so they can spend other things, you know, on other things once they're there. So yeah, that. And then is there a shuttle that like picks you up at the airport and takes you to the place and back? And is that something we book or do you book that?
Great questions. And I'll start with this. If you're coming on this retreat or you're thinking about coming on this retreat, you want to book it with a credit card that's going to give you the most points for travel. This is something that I'm really optimizing myself right now in my business is as many points as I can on my credit card so that that pays for the next expense, the next travel. So put it on your best earning points for travel. And then if you're going to book your trip with your points, see which airline is going to give you the best based upon the card. And you can YouTube this. YouTube is really good for telling you how to utilize your points the most. But as far as picking the right airline, it depends on where you're at. So what I would do is I would go to Skyscanner, and for 1 week under private or incognito, for 1 week, I would see how much it is to fly. You can either fly from Liberia or you can either fly into Liberia or into San Jose. We currently have 6 people signed up right now, and it's split. Some are going to San Jose, some are going to Liberia. You can't get it wrong. If you need
one closer than the other by any chance?
Yes. So Liberia is closer.
Okay.
Yep. So I would fly, Liberia is a lot closer. However, either one that you fly from, you have to take a shuttle. So if you want to take a shuttle, all you need to do is contact Rancho Margao and they will set you up a shuttle to and from. And they've been doing this behind the scenes for some of my other guests that have already signed up. And in that, if you're someone that knows you want to ground beforehand and ground after the retreat, I do have a couple guests that are coming the day before and they're staying a day after. And you just pay Rancho Margao for that. And it's going to be super helpful if you're someone that just has a lot of anxiety around traveling, you like to ground down before you go into big groups, like that can be really helpful as well. And so what I was saying is, yeah, for 1 week, check the prices. And in that week, you'll find out what the going rate is. Like we're 90 days out from the retreat happening, around 90 days. Right now is the time to buy your ticket, or any time that you decide you're coming to Costa Rica, it's time. It's time to get the ticket just so that you know that you're coming and you close that window of like, I need to get the ticket and I need to organize the shuttle. It's like, sign up for the retreat, book your shuttle, book your flight, then book your shuttle, and then come and celebrate with us. Does that bring up any more questions for you, Kristen?
No, it actually answered a bunch because I love flying into Liberia. I'm obviously very comfortable because I know my way around. So yeah, and then that's how it's been booked in the past is that you basically go through the website. I don't know if this is how they do it, but go through the website and then you put in your flight information and that determines the shuttle that they send you or put you on. Does that sound similar? Okay.
And that's why I reversed my order. Is like, you want to sign up for the retreat, then you want to book your flight, and then you want to book your shuttle, because your shuttle will be chosen based upon the time that you arrive here in Costa Rica. And just so that you know, December is the best time to come to Costa Rica because we're leaving rainy season, which means that everything is super lush, green, the air is still cool, the water is still damp. It's going to be anywhere from 70 to 90 degrees, depending on the humidity. And you don't really need to bring a lot of clothes, like bringing your movement clothes, bringing your hiking shoes, and just planning to be like in your swimsuit in the pond and pretty sweaty. It's really detoxifying too. And the food at this place was like one of the reasons I booked this retreat center, because it's 3 meals, farm to table. They have their cows on the property. They have their milk they make there. They make pizza from the cheese that they make there. It's like literally you get to see the food, the kale, the spinach, the lettuce, all of that in the garden. We go on a farm tour, and then you get to see it on your plate. Like, you leave there just feeling so good.
So is there, do they have a check-in time, or do you have a suggested time of arrival, like to get to where we're headed? Like, I'm thinking probably a 2-ish hour shuttle. And then I'm just trying to think of, is my question coming across right? Is there a specific arrival time in the morning that you recommend, or do they have a specific check-in time?
No, so what I sometimes have recommended in the past is that you arrive the day before, you stay at a hotel, and then the next morning you take the shuttle, or in the morning you arrive here into Costa Rica. It's just because we don't know how many flights you're going to have to take. Sometimes it's 2 flights to get here. Sometimes it's direct. That's less common. And so you can arrive to the retreat center anytime that day after 11. You check into your room anytime between 2 and 4 p.m.
Perfect.
But if you arrive to the retreat center early, they'll watch and guard your stuff while you get to explore like the area. It's a huge farm. There's plenty of space. So as long as you're there before 5 p.m., which is when we begin, like, you're all set to go. The first day, literally, in my retreats are always just like, let's get everyone here. Let's eat a grounding meal and then come together in a sharing circle.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, this is great. I was hoping it would be similar to Blue Spirit. They will totally watch your luggage, and you can go in the pool, or you can walk around, because if your room's not ready yet, but often if your room was ready, they let you in. So that gives me a good time frame. I think I'll buy my ticket tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you're in the process of like thinking about this retreat and you have any questions, you can reach out to me at any time and ask any questions. Amber Hagberg at gmail.com. We're really excited to just be here as someone, like a soundboard. Like, I was even telling Chris, like, if someone wants to hop on the call. I had a few conversations this past week around like being co-ed. So you can bring your husband. He doesn't have to engage in everything. He can engage in everything. Like, this is an open space, like for men. This is my first co-ed retreat because my husband's going to be there. My son's going to be there. They're not going to be with us, but they're going to be on the land. And so I was just like, well, it makes sense for me to really open this container from just being with women. And at the same time, like, I know that we always get what it is we need. And Kristen, she's been hosting co-ed retreats for some time, so she's used to this. If you want to room alone, that's always an option. We have 3 spaces. We have shared spacing, private spacing. If you sign up with a friend, you each save $250. So if you bring your husband, you guys each save $500. And if you have any other, outside questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. My vision really is to connect you deeper into your heart, to tap you deeper into like your purpose and what you're here to do, so that when you go back home, you're like, I know what I want. I know what I need to do. I know what step I need to take. It's not like we're going to create the next year of your life, but we're going to give you a few steps to take to just create a fulfilled and meaning life with your friends, your family, your clients. If you have them, it's just like, how can I live more on purpose?
Yes. And then you brought up another question in my head. This happened on just one of my retreats, but the husband wanted to come. So the husband and wife shared a room, but he didn't really want to participate in the yoga so much, anything. And so, I mean, is that still a thing where you just pay the same price, but maybe the person doesn't participate in all of the events, what you have planned?
Yeah, we talked about this in our first call together. And for me, it's like this retreat is for you. We will have an abundance of things for you to do from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, with space in between to just be with you. And if at any point you're like, I don't want to go to that, but I'm here, I'm just going to be here with myself, like that's your practice. That's your retreat. This isn't like you need to be there and there's attendance. This is like, how can I give myself what it is I need right now? And that may mean not going. And so, yes, come, be in the energy. And if you don't want to participate in an entire day because you're in your own process, like this space is for you to just listen to what it is that you need. And yeah, sometimes that means sitting out and just taking care of yourself.
Yeah. And I don't know if I still need to look more into this place. Are there like services like massages and stuff, such like that? Because I know some people would be like, I had to book this massage appointment. It was the only one available. I'm going to miss class. I'm like, that's your yoga. Exactly. That's self-care, right?
100%. And there's sometimes that people are like, hey, I wanted to go on this adventure. This is the only day I'm going to go book that and I won't be here. My only request is that we know who's going where, when, so that we can keep our people in a safe space. And we're like accounting for people that are there. And also sometimes like if you stay in your room or you go get a massage and like you're going through something, to just let you or I know so that we can hold you in that process, give you the space, but just know that like you'll come around as it needs. So it's like, this is your space to do what it is you want. And we're just going to give you an abundance of opportunities. And you, at the end of the day, get to discern like what's going to serve you the most in each and every moment.
I love it. Great.
Yay. Okay, so this was really my intention, is just to bring Kristen and I together to talk about what it means to really co-host. And you can see the dynamic that we have here. It's like I am hosting the retreat. She's asking questions to get answers, but this is also going to help her go back and sell the retreat to her clients and her students that she's living with in Colorado. And in that, it's like, we get to extend our reach and our impact. And Kristen's like, hey, I'm going to Costa Rica. Who wants to come with me? And it's just an invitation. And so I know people ask her often about her retreats and they're engaged and maybe they haven't signed up yet. But she's just holding the space for them with an invitation if it's a right fit. And so if you have any questions for Kristen, you have any questions for or you just want to sign up, you can go to amberhagberg.com/Costa Rica. And if you're ready to sign on, sign on. If you have any questions, reach out to one of us in the show notes, and we'll be here to celebrate you on the other side. And if you need support when you're buying your plane ticket or booking your shuttle, just know that we're here to co-create this experience from the moment you decide to join us until the moment that you get back home. And with that being said, there will be an integration call post our retreat, so that it isn't just an experience, but it's like the catalyst to what's next for you. And we'll hold you in that what's next.
This is awesome. I think one of the things that gives me like the goosebumps and like, this is real, is when I buy my plane ticket.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes it all the real. Like you can buy the ticket and back out, but once you buy the ticket and you buy the plane, once you buy the retreat ticket and then you buy the plane ticket, it's like, oh my God, it's happening! I'm going to Costa Rica.
Yeah, so this is very exciting. I don't know. I know we'll meet again, but do you have any questions for me or?
No, I think you and I can chat behind the scenes like in about a month, and we'll start planning out our days. And if you have any questions before then, don't hesitate to send me a message on Facebook as well.
Love it.
Okay, love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.